Oh, by the way, talk to me. You talk to the mic versus the cameras for the most part.
Yeah, we're having a
Are we live?
Yeah.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Brandon, are we live?
I think so.
Yeah! My thigh can only take so much. Are we live?
Yes.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Shrink Tank Live Morning Show. This is the last morning show of the year of 2019. I'm Jonathan Hederly. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I have an awesome guest with me this morning. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. So my name is Ian. I'm a licensed professional counselor as well here at Southeast Site, and we are taking over the present room for our holiday party today. So
yes, we are not that materialistic. This is a gathering of our office's secret friends.
that's right.
To be politically correct, secret friends. And today it culminates with revealing who your secret friend was, and then the whole practice later on is going to see the new Star Wars movie. This is a tradition that we have, and like many traditions in your family, some people love this tradition and other people could leave this tradition. But this is really great. This is fun. This is festive. It's kind of weird, to be honest. I feel like I should be in like a Pottery Barn holiday commercial of some sorts. But the unique thing about the Shrink Tank Live Morning Show is that regular talk shows oftentimes will bring on an expert to talk about mental health or other areas of health and wellness, whereas for the Shrink Tank Morning Show, it is hosted by mental health professionals. We have a great roster of clinicians here at Southeast Psych. We are in Charlotte, North Carolina. We have a lot of personality, we have a lot of interest, but there's a lot of expertise as well. This morning, we're really going to dive into just a little bit of 2019 in review. We're going to announce our champion of mental health that we had a poll out for the last several weeks. And then, Ian, it sounds like you and I might give a tip or two on how to navigate the holidays itself.
Absolutely.
So we're about to wrap up 2019. A lot has happened, but I'm curious to hear what's one of the highlights or noteworthy things that happened this past year that really sticks with you?
Yeah, so one of the big things for me, so I'm an avid sports fan. Love them all. But over the summer, the women's national team, the United States Soccer women's national team, won another World Cup.
Yep. Awesome.
Just embarrassing the men again. But one of the most important things to come out of it that's not necessarily their victory is their advocacy for themselves. So for those of you who don't know, the women are largely underpaid compared to the men. So they get a fraction of what the men get per national team appearance. And the women's professional teams that they play for, so they don't pay as much as the men. So they're vastly underpaid compared to the men's team. Now, the amazing thing is they decided to actually go and sue the U.S. Soccer Federation.
Awesome.
For equal pay, which is amazing. And so one of the things that really stuck out to me is that they are so willing to advocate for themselves that they are willing to go and actually challenge the authority that is writing them their checks as we speak. So it's been really amazing to watch their transformation and to watch how the country has caught on to them.
Yeah.
Right? It's all been, well, they should only be paid what what they bring in, and the men's team brings in so much more, and they've come back with like, we've won more World Cups than the men's team can come close to, right? And so it's great to see them continue to follow what they believe that they deserve, and they absolutely deserve it. So it's been great to watch them as a collective unit continue to push that ceiling essentially of what U.S. Soccer believes that they're worth, and so it's been awesome to watch.
It's really been awesome. But the thing that I was really encouraged about too as I was following this news story throughout the year was that I tended to see a lot of men support this cause.
Yes.
Like I didn't see online the trolls and the people that accuse others of being social media warriors, just the old guard kind of come in and complain and challenge that. I actually saw a lot of folks really rally behind that it makes sense on a number of different levels, and that it also, they are great spokesmen, not just for themselves, but for women and for equality in general. So hopefully that they are opening doors and that they are creating a domino effect where others that may not have as much built-in support nationally, that they can follow suit.
Absolutely. And I think it speaks volumes that they're willing to do this while they're competing and winning a World Cup, because now the spotlight's on them, right? Like, in between the 4 years, we don't necessarily have as much spotlight on them, but now the focus is there. And they took that opportunity, just like you're saying, to say, you know what? We're at the top of our game right now, and we're going to make sure that the things change. We're not going to sit here and take this. We're not just going to sit here and win and then let you do whatever you want. We're going to take this opportunity. And you're right. It's really interesting. Some of the things that I've seen from the men's team even is like, they should be paid. It doesn't really affect us, right?
Sure.
Like it's not like the men are going to be losing out.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to see the unity that they've brought.
Absolutely. Well, you love soccer.
Yeah.
You played soccer collegiately.
Yeah.
It makes sense that would really stick with
Yeah.
you. One of the things that I specialize in is working with failure to launch young adult men in my clinical practice. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about college and transition into young adulthood. The news story of 2019 for me was the college admission scandal. And that to me was just a gold mine clinically and culturally, that these very wealthy and affluent families, they use their position and means to circumvent the process, get their kids into very prestigious universities. There was a high level of bribery. It really focused on sports as one of the key ways to get into that. And for me, in a lot of ways, the two celebrities, Felicia Huffman and Lori Loughlin, they're getting a lot of the headlines, but it goes beyond just celebrities. It's really high-powered, affluent people, and it trickles down either into some degree of entitlement, as well as just sort of the overall message it's sent to some of the young kids that were unaware that their parents were doing this. Because essentially, and we see this a lot in therapy and the work that we do, is that parents have this insatiable desire to give their children a better future. And a lot of times they're doing things with the intent of love and opening doors and opportunities. But we see the more that parents do this for their kids, at some point it subtly shifts the message to, I don't believe that you're capable of accomplishing things on your own. And it really becomes a very invalidating parental, strategy, rather than empowering them to take ownership of their lives, empowering them and having belief in them that they can handle adversity, that they can handle disappointment or even failure. But it also, in a lot of ways, speaks to how we're in this era of over-personalizing. Parents over-personalize everything with their kids, that their kids' success. They personalize that, they equate it that I'm being a good mother, I'm being a good parent, I'm being a good father. And when their kids face hardships, adversity, failure, parents over-personalize it that I'm a bad parent because I've allowed my kids to experience these hardships, disappointment, and failure. So the college admission scandal 2019, thank you for that.
It's just an incredible story of just the lengths that people are willing to go to make sure that they have a very particular image, and it's reinforced that status, right? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but these are very high, prestigious universities, correct? Yes. We're talking Harvard, Stanford. These are places that it means a lot to be in, not just by the education, but the name. Yeah. Right? My kid goes, and it's exactly what you're talking about. It's these, if my kid goes to Harvard, does that mean I'm a success? And so I think you make a lot of great points about this idea of we can't let our kids fail.
Sure.
I can't let them not get into Harvard. What does that mean? Does that ruin their life?
And we didn't get into Harvard. And so obviously the message was right. If you don't get into a prestigious university, look what happens. You're doing a morning show with a Wayne's World aesthetic around the secret holiday friends presents, things of that nature. But it also kind of reinforces this myth that a lot of families and a lot of schools, quite honestly, perpetuate, that college is uber competitive and that you really have to sacrifice your wellness and your childhood in order to get in, because it's just this very slender and narrow opportunity to get in. And the reality is that it's never been a better time to get into college. Now, having said that, if you think that success equates Ivy League or some of these prestigious schools, then yes, those are very competitive. But there's a lot more opportunities for kids to go to college, get a great education, use that time for life experience, as well as figure some things out. Whereas our culture really has done a poor job of, we focus on getting kids to school, and then we haven't helped them, how do you be successful when you're in college and you're away from home? And some of these kids or some of these parents and these family systems where the parents are doing all this behind the scene maneuvering for them, that these kids in a lot of ways are not starting the adulting process in college because their parents continue to do all of the unfun tasks of young adulthood for them.
Right. Because it's easier for them to do it at times, right? Yep. It's easier for me, I imagine, with the the admission scandal is it's easier for me to pay my way in than it is to try and reinforce, help them, kind of let them struggle to get an application into Harvard, right? Get an application in. And so I think it's really important that you bring that up, that we are, by trying to do everything for them, we are actually harming them and not preparing them for once they get there, then what?
Sure.
Right? Some of the things you're talking about with sports in this admissions scandal is they were photoshopping people's faces onto other athletes.
Pretty poorly, I might add. Come on. I mean, really, for the amount, the 6 figures that you're doling out, that was the best Photoshop you could do.
Right. But it just goes to show those are extreme lengths. Let's give our kids the opportunity to fail. Let's give them the opportunity to learn through what they're doing and not necessarily what we can do for them.
I give my daughters opportunity to fail every day.
That's right.
That's what a good father does.
That's right. I've got a 10-month-old, and I try to let her fall as much as possible.
Yes. I mean, you have a staircase
That's
in your
right.
home, right?
That's right.
That's good parenting
It
101.
It is. It's let them fail, let them fall.
That's right.
That's my motto.
Well, let's transition because as we talk about 2019, a few weeks ago, we on the live show and on our website, Shrink Tank, we put out a poll where we asked you all to vote for who you believed was the celebrity champion of mental health of 2019. And the votes are in, and we're going to just talk about the nominees, or we're going to remind you of the nominees, and then we're going to announce the winner. Awesome. First of all, thank you all for your votes and engagement. We had over 2,000 votes, which is really great. We had nominated Lizzo, Bill Hader, Common, Chrissy Teigen, and Taraja B. Henson.
Yes.
Great roster of folks. Be sure to check out our previous episode or Shrink Tank, and you can see a little bit of profile and write-up of why we believe these were great nominees, worthy nominees for the champion of mental health.
Yeah. And for those who maybe aren't familiar and just tuning in for the first time, can you just speak briefly on how we chose these people?
Sure. Basically, in-house, we looked at people that we believe are using their platform or in their own personal life. They are speaking out to raise awareness and normalization of mental health and wellness. They are lowering and breaking the stigma around not just mental illness and mental health, but talking about it, that it equates something about weakness or that there's something defective or they're not doing something correctly.
Yeah.
And where it's like anybody can struggle with trauma. Anybody can struggle with depression or anxiety, things along those lines. And the more that celebrities use their platform to talk about it, the more it hopefully empowers other people to find that inner courage to talk about their own issues rather than to bury it and silently suffer, because you don't have to suffer.
That's right.
There are ways that you can get help, that things can get better. Hope is a huge catalyst in mental health and well-being, and we believe that Lizzo, Bill Hader, Common, Chrissy Teigen, and Taraja B. Henson, they have used their celebrity platform to do that for others, and so we certainly salute them. But we also want to announce the winner with over 2,000 votes.
Should we do a drum roll?
Should we do a drum roll?
Should we?
So.
Do a drum roll.
All right.
And after that thought patch, the winner is Bill Hader. Bill Hader, actor and comedian, SNL. Stefan himself is the winner of 2019's champion of mental health. Yes. Congratulations. He talked about his own anxiety, and one of the more profound things that he said in a video that he sent out to the Child Mind Institute was that he came to terms with that his anxiety was never going to go away. It was all about managing it. And so be sure to look at Bill Hader, what he's put out there online about his own story, as well as the tips that he has for others that are struggling with anxiety, that you can live with it, you can manage it.
Yep.
You can have a happy and meaningful life even if you struggle with anxiety. So congratulations, Bill Hader. Bill, I know you're watching this, so you're always welcome to come on the show.
We'd love to have Stefan.
We will make a little trophy for you.
Yeah,
right?
anything. Anything.
I have a pop-up Stefan in my office. I don't know why I didn't even think about bringing it in here today. It wouldn't have gone with the holiday theme.
It wouldn't have matched the decor. So.
But the holidays are just right around the corner. This is our last episode of the year. And so with that, kind of talk a little bit about some of your own personal holiday traditions and experiences. This is going to be a really cool holiday for you. Why don't you share with the audience what's unique about this year?
Yeah. So I'm originally from Denver, Colorado. So the majority of my family is still out towards the Midwest and West Coast. So as I mentioned before, I have a 10-month-old. So this is going to be our first Christmas with a very young child.
You look well rested for a 10-month-old.
Well, thank you. She's amazing. She's amazing. She sleeps. She's really spoiled us, which is awesome. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to start new traditions.
Nice.
So one of the things, when I was a kid, we always used to go to my grandmother's for Christmas Eve.
Over the hills and through the woods.
To grandmother's house we go. That's right. So this year we were like, you know what? My family's out in Colorado. My wife's family's here. So we've spent Thanksgiving there. And so we're just going to make a new tradition. We don't know what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. But I know some of the things, I really enjoyed. Like we would go to mass on Christmas Eve, and then we would go out to eat. And so I think we'll incorporate some of those things, but I really just want to have fun with it. Yeah. Like I want to kind of go with whatever the family wants to do, because this is really our first time to kind of set those traditions that we can hopefully carry and pass on. So we don't really have any plans, and I think that's kind of like relaxing and freeing. Awesome. It's amazing. I know that at least where, in the past when we've had traditions, it's been very planned out. And I think that can be part of the stress, and we'll get into that a little bit later of the holidays. But for us, it's just like we just want to be with our family. Like it's just the three of us, and we just want to be there and experience that and have as much fun as we can, right? This is her only Christmas that she's going to be 10 months old. And so we want to cherish that and not be so caught up in this idea of, okay, we need to have the next best tradition, or we need to plan. Just having the time where we can be out of work, out of school, and just be with one another. So, I know you're in a little bit of a different
yes
trend. So why don't you talk to us about?
Well, I have two teenage girls, 2 daughters, and I probably am less rested than you are. No, but one of the traditions that we set forth when we had our first daughter was, my family's out on the West Coast as well, mostly in the state of Washington. And my wife's family is really in this general area. But we had decided that, we're not going to travel over Christmas. Like, I just don't enjoy the stress of flights. I don't enjoy the possibility of delays or cancellations and getting stranded somewhere. Yeah. And so we sort of made the decision that we're going to always have Christmas at our house. Mm-hmm. Our kids can have their rooms. Yeah. In a lot of ways, our daughters really value downtime in their own space, because holidays can really be overwhelming. As much as you love family, or as little as you love family, it can be overwhelming. And it really can be something cherished when you spend it somewhere else and you don't have your own space. Right. You're always on. You're always feeling this obligation to interact and socialize, or make the most of that time if you're visiting family, because you don't get to see them all the time. And so we've really tried to model holidays being very low-key, because quite honestly, a lot of life is not low-key. Right. And it can really be easy that the holidays you speed up, and by the end of the holiday season, you are worn out. Right. It really hasn't been a celebration. It's been an exhaustion. And then you don't really enjoy the time and the experience itself. And so a few times we've paid for my mother to come fly out and experience Christmas with us, but we don't tend to travel, and we try to be really mindful of the message of the holidays. Yes. So it's really easy. I mean, I'll be honest, it's really easy to go overboard with gifts.
Absolutely.
But we've really tried to be sensible about that, and eventually you'll have to have that conversation, maybe, that we try to not have Santa be this genie that gave the most awesome gifts, so that when they figured out Santa wasn't real, all of a sudden it's like, 25% of your gifts go away. Right. Because we also really want to establish gratitude and appreciation for who the gift is given by, as well as that it's really not about them being naughty or nice. It's really about love and relationship and family, things along those lines. Yeah. So with that in mind, and we see this a lot in our clinical work. We throughout the year, just people how to manage expectations, their own mental health and well-being, but then the holidays can come along, and whether there's tension in the family, whether there's grief and longing, or whether there's even some alcohol issues, what might be a tip that you would offer people just to how to maybe preserve the spirit of the holidays, and how to make it more of a happier experience rather than something that later on there's a lot of regret and problems.
Right. You kind of spoke to it with your daughters. You said that they like to have kind of their own space and be at home. And for me, I tend to be more introverted. I like family and I like to be around them, but I also need my own time, right? It's a break. So, we talk to people for a living every day. And so sometimes we just need a break. So the thing that I would recommend is set some boundaries. And boundaries may be something as simple as, you know what, I really don't want to talk about that at this time. Or, you know what, I'm just going to go do something that I need to do.
Sure.
You don't have to be specific. You don't owe people explanations of what you're going to do. But it's important that you set those boundaries, because if you don't, you can turn into resentment, frustration, irritability, and that's not what you want on your break, right? You want to be able to experience and enjoy it, and it's okay. You know, I don't see my family very much because they're out on the West Coast, and so I want to be around them as much as possible. But I do know at times that it's okay if one of them or me, we need to just take a step back, right? Because sometimes you're like, oh, let's cram all of our lost time into 4 days, and as great as that sounds, it's not really realistic. So set boundaries. Practice setting boundaries.
Absolutely.
What advice would you give?
Well, you know, more as I've gotten older and I've become more of a cranky old person, but even just in therapy, working with the clients that I see, I've really tried to promote this concept and idea of it's okay for the holidays to be okay. Yeah. And that, you know, life is really about being authentic and real, and you can't always predict what's going on in life leading up to the holidays. Absolutely. And I found more and more people find manufactured joy and happiness to be a big burden and a stressor. And there's no reason that the holidays have to be stressful. It can really be just a time to reflect and be around people, hopefully, that you love and cherish. And it's okay if it's just okay, that if it's not the happiest time of year. A lot of people that I come across, they have this internal mechanism where they just feel this pressure and responsibility to make this next holiday season as good or better than the last. And that just puts a lot of pressure, puts high expectations. You feel disappointment, you can be exhausted, but you also can't anticipate if there is some tension in the family, if there is a lot of work stress, if for a young kid some social stuff or other things that they're dealing with, that it's okay to just kind of have a sad Christmas, to have a Christmas where you know you don't feel that joy that you might otherwise hope to, or that the message in our culture says you're supposed to. And the more you give people that freedom and that permission to just be you this holiday season, and the more you encourage others to let others be themselves where they're at, I think you can probably have a more meaningful experience. You're going to remember it for all the right reasons rather than for all the wrong reasons when you look back on a holiday and you say, why did we allow ourselves to become so batty and miss the real meaning and spirit of the holidays?
Yeah, well put, because I think we all get sucked into that, you know, at some form or fashion. So I think that's great.
And so, well, this is the last show of the year. We're going to take a break, but we're going to come back in 2019. And this has been a great year for Shrink Tank, for the Shrink Tank live show and all the things that we're doing here at Southeast Psych. Also, we have another platform called Psych Bites, which is really our practical psychology platform where you can find all types of tips. A lot of the stuff we were just talking about. You're going to find numerous articles and videos highlighting ways that you can make the holiday season more meaningful and less stressful. Absolutely. And so we encourage you to check that out as well. But we really want to thank you all for you being also champions of mental health, helping break the stigma, raise awareness of well-being, mental health, mental illness. We thank you guys for all of your viewership, engagement, and comments below. And I want to wish you a happy holidays, Ian.
Same to you, Jonathan. We are very grateful for this opportunity. I mean, this has been great.
Now, before we leave, I wonder if our presents are around here to where should we?
I don't know.
Should we cheat and find out
what we've got?
Yeah,
I think we should start opening some.
Or should we?
Wait, we could just open them.
Should we swap? Should we swap if there's one that we really like and want for our own?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
So, well, we're gonna do that, but we're gonna sign off because we can't have this be documented online.
That's right.
So for Ian Murray, I'm Jonathan Hedderly. Thank you all for watching. Have a happy holiday.
Thank you guys.
Take care.